Sergeant David Stone wasn't born a legend. He was forged in the fires of war. A skinny farm boy, David joined the army at 18, driven by a fierce loyalty to his country and a burning desire to protect those he loved. His initial awkwardness with a rifle soon melted away, replaced by an uncanny skill for strategy and unwavering courage. His first taste of combat came in a brutal desert war. Bullets sang a deadly song as his squad got pinned down by enemy fire. Panic flickered in some young eyes, but David remained calm. Utilizing an abandoned trench, he came up with a plan called a flanking maneuver to attack the enemy from the other side. He whispered to his squadmate, a nervous rookie named Tom.
"Stay low, Tom. We're going to surprise them."
The maneuver, daring and risky, succeeded. Flanking the enemy position, David led the charge, his rifle spitting fire. Tom, emboldened, fought alongside him. Back at base, amidst the cheers of victory, David found Tom bandaging a minor wound.
"Thanks, Sergeant."
Tom mumbled. David, sweat still clinging to his brow, grinned.
"We did good, Tom. We did good."
Years passed, wars raged, and the legendary actions of David never went unnoticed. He became a master of reading battlefields, anticipating enemy movements. In a harrowing mountain siege, his company was trapped in a crumbling fortress. Enemy artillery rained down, and morale dwindled. David, spotting an abandoned cable car dangling precariously above the enemy lines, rallied a small team.
"This is crazy, but it's our only shot,"
he said, his voice steady despite the tremors in the ground. Scaling the cable with ropes and sheer grit, they reached the enemy trenches, creating havoc with grenades and gunfire before retreating in a white-knuckled descent. The enemy, surprised and demoralized, faltered, giving the remaining troops a chance to repel them. Exhausted but triumphant, David found himself face to face with a young soldier, his eyes wide with awe. You're Sergeant Stone," the boy stammered. David smiled, weariness momentarily forgotten.
"That's me, son. But you fought like a lion today."
Newspapers dubbed him the Stone Wall, a soldier who stood firm even when the ground beneath him crumbled. He wasn't invincible, though. A close-quarters battle in a ravaged city left him with a jagged scar across his arm, a constant reminder of the brutality of war. But his spirit remained unbroken. In a fierce jungle conflict, he saved an entire platoon from an ambush. His sharp eyes caught a glint of sunlight off a sniper scope. Without hesitation, he orchestrated a daring maneuver, forcing the enemy snipers to expose themselves, giving his team the upper hand. The firefight that followed was very intense, bullets chewing through the thick foliage. One bullet whizzed past David's ear, leaving a burning sting. Ignoring the pain, he used his knowledge of the jungle to outmaneuver the snipers, saving countless lives. Later, a grizzled sergeant, his voice thick with emotion, placed a hand on David's shoulder.
"You saved us, David. We owe you our lives."
David, his face streaked with grime, smiled faintly.
"Just doing my duty, Sergeant."
Years later, with silver creeping into his hair and the weight of countless battles on his shoulders, David faced his final fight. It was a pivotal battle, a last stand against an oppressive regime. The air crackled with anticipation as two opposing forces met on a windswept plain. Tanks rumbled, and the roar of gunfire filled the air. David, now a seasoned commander, devised a daring strategy. Using captured enemy maps and his years of experience, he led a coordinated assault, exploiting enemy weaknesses. The battle raged for days, a blur of smoke, explosions, and the desperate cries of soldiers. David himself took down an enemy tank with a well-placed rocket, the resulting blast throwing him back with the force of a battering ram. He lay dazed for a moment, the metallic tang of blood in his mouth, before forcing himself upright. The battle wasn't won yet. He rallied his troops, his voice hoarse but firm.
Come on, men. We can do this.
With renewed vigor, they pushed forward, finally breaking the enemy lines. News of the victory echoed across the land, and David returned as a hero. Medals clinked on his chest as he stood before cheering crowds. Despite all the prizes, he remained the same humble person that he was. When a reporter asked him what his secret to success was, he replied,
It's my team. The most important part of a battle is not the plan itself, but how we carry out and implement that plan.
But for him, the most precious reward was the sight of his wife, Sarah, tears of joy streaming down her face, and his children, their eyes shining with pride, rushing into his embrace. Holding his wife close, he murmured, "I'm home, Sarah." And Sarah, burying her face in his chest, whispered back,
"Welcome home, David."
He was finally home, the legendary soldier, no longer just a symbol of war, but a husband, a father, and a man who had fought for everything he held dear. Dubbed.
To be called or named.
Jagged scar.
A scar that is rough and uneven on the edges.
Platoon.
A small military unit within a company.
Unbroken spirit.
Not giving up or losing hope.
Glint of sunlight off a sniper scope.
A small flash of light from a sniper's gun.
Upper hand.
An advantage.
Faintly smiled.
A very small smile.
Windswept plain.
A large area of flat land that is often windy.
Battering ram.
A heavy object used to break through doors.
Legendary soldier.
A soldier known for his bravery and achievements.
Rallied his troops.
Encouraged his soldiers to keep fighting.
Embrace.
A hug.